All right, so at one point in time, when I had just gotten out of college and I was really trying to build like my first real big business, which I'm still doing, but I was in a montage phase, if you will, kind of like in that stay in Friday night, stay in Saturday night, just work on your stuff, grind phase. I was listening to a lot of Zig Ziglar. Actually, I was listening to a lot of stuff in general, and I came across Zig. And I was like, Zig's voice kind of pissed me off, and like that southern Mississippi drawl and stuff like that, just, yeah, whatever. But over time, I really came to appreciate what Zig had to say. And one of the things that he used to talk about was automotive university. And so he used to speak about how much window or windshield time people spend in their vehicles, just commuting to work, even commuting around at work, whatever. But he said use that time to further your education. He made his case for it. And so one thing I have to say is that I have, from that point, probably dropped my radio time by 90%. And I just started devouring podcasts. And so a couple podcast recommendations. If you're looking to grow a business, change who you are, really just go to the next level. It doesn't really matter if you're growing your own business or you're working, or you're just doing whatever you're doing, but you're probably in your 20s, 30s. You just want to advance yourself. First podcast, Tim Ferriss's, I think it's called The Tim Ferriss Show. Have to listen to it. He interviews high performers, people like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Peter Thiel. I just listened to one with Whitney Cummings on it, but all these things are just like, all his videos are just absolutely fantastic. Or podcasts rather. Another one, Art of Charm. Really got into these guys. Didn't like them the first couple shows, but really got into what Jordan was doing. He's basically just teaching people how to be excellent in social interactions, how to, just the stuff, the Art of Charm, just check it out. Another one for pure entertainment, but also like really, I'm starting to realize like, it doesn't just have to be, I don't want to call it fictional, but business related stuff. But Dan Carlin's Hardcore History is fantastic. It is history lessons at just a Ivy League level. They're just fantastic. The stories are excellent. Anyone from a 6th grader all the way up to a 60-year-old would absolutely love what Dan Carlin's Hardcore History podcast, and Wrath of the Khans is probably where I would start with that. He's got a really cool series on it. But I've learned a lot just through Hardcore History and just another podcast. Probably the first podcast I started out with was Tropical MBA. At the time, it was a lifestyle business podcast or whatever. But these are two guys that basically travel around the world. They run a business from a warehouse in California, but they pretty much work remotely. And it's really neat to kind of talk to them, or not talk to them, but listen to them. I actually joined their Dynamite Circle, not to be part of the Dynamite Circle, but just because I felt like I owed them money for the stuff that they were like putting out. I should actually tap into the Dynamite Circle. It's a freaking great resource. There's awesome people on it. But that was kind of like how they monetize their podcast. They don't do any ads or whatever. But 4 podcasts I would recommend: Tim Ferriss, Art of Charm, Hardcore History, and Tropical MBA. And if I were to add in a few extras to that, or just for fun talk radio, maybe stuff I listen to in the morning, you can't beat Joe Rogan's podcast. He has awesome guests. They kind of just ramble for 2-3 hours, but it's freaking great. It's insightful, and it's funny. And so that would be a 5th, but Automotive University. I can't recommend it enough, man. It's that, and then if just on the tail end here, I can't recommend audiobooks enough either. So I got on audible.com. I think I pay like $15 a month for it, and I download 1 or 2 books. I'm going through like a book every week and a half right now because I drive so much at work. But I cannot recommend listening to things while you drive. Just to maximize your own personal time. Can't emphasize it enough.